I'm pretty sure I'm done posting on my personal Twitter account. I'm not gonna make the. I don't think I'm gonna make the jump to Threads just because I don't know.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, it
I was
doesn't really feel
very
like
excited in the beginning, but that's why I never did a Hyphen podcast group over there. I was like, I don't like it that much. So
Yeah.
it was cool at first, but definitely over it personally.
So yeah, and I don't use Facebook anymore, to be honest. Like,
You haven't used Facebook
so
in years.
yeah, regularly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I used to randomly, well, not randomly. I used to post my like personal blog posts on there, and then I just like stopped because I go on the Facebook app now, and it's basically like they just algorithm reels for people I have no clue exist.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that functionality like at all. So
My feed is all basketball stuff right now. So Rodney James with the public Facebook post talking about the best NBA players of all time. I see that a lot. Like, and like he's just a regular person.
yes, sorry, Mr. James, I don't know who you are. I'm certain the algorithm is telling me that you're important, but you don't feel important to me. So, actually, funny, I was reading this Vox post from earlier this morning, and I think it's something, especially like Kellen for the podcast group, and also like I have friends who like have their own personal blogs for stuff, and the idea that you're not artists are not really allowed to be artists anymore. Like you have to be like a self promoter now. Like, and there's this guy who was a musician. He was basically like he was a musician that got popped off on TikTok and like got a deal from it or whatever. But he was like, I spend more time on TikToks than I do like being better at my craft. And I'm a better salesman, but I'm a worse artist now. So I'm basically, I know how to sell you a worse product now more efficiently. And so, I mean, that's unfortunately, I think that's kind of what social media is devolving into, to where, I mean, like George said, like the time suck of it, like, and that's like a big reason I didn't like, I'm not going to go. I know TikTok may not be available in America anymore in a couple of months, but the biggest reason I didn't go to it because it really did feel like people would talk about like the endless scroll capability, to where you're just digesting these short videos, but you keep doing it. And so it's like, I need to constantly consume like these videos, but what tangible thing am I like truly getting from it? And I think Twitter used to be a great channel just for like shit talking and having fun. And then like when these like pop culture events happen, like everyone's talking about it. But then like the infiltration of bots, like the harassment and like just like the kind of the toxicity of it, to where now like unless you know these people for real, you don't know if you're engaging with a bot or not. Yeah. And that's just kind of like, that's just a wild concept. Like to get into arguments with algorithms. Like I truly do not want to do that. No. And I made the pivot to Blue Sky, and Blue Sky is fine. But there's like a certain point at night where I know people just like are not on Blue Sky. Like after like 9:00 Central, which is my time, it's just like within an hour, like there are probably like 4 or 5 posts. So it's like that thing's dead. And even the Beyonce shit, like the Beyonce at the Texans and Ravens halftime, like that is a pop culture moment. It's like one of the few pop culture moments we had of the year. And Blue Sky was a fucking desert. Like it was a couple of posts or whatever, but Twitter was like, oh yeah, Queen Bey, and you know she's the greatest ever. But it's just like, I know Twitter is now financially geared for, I need to have engagement, so I need to say the least. Well, I need to say the most engaging thing. Sometimes it's the least combative thing. Sometimes it's the most combative thing. But a lot of people are really just in it for the retweets and for the clicks, where Blue Sky is not at this moment monetized. So like there's not very much engagement that you really get on it. And so Blue Sky is like the only social media platform where I have more followers than I follow, and I like rarely get engaging on Blue Sky. And it will kind of just even be for like the most random shit. And so I'm not looking to go viral, but it's just like there's
You're
no
looking at
real,
not talking to a void either.
yeah, there's no real community on Blue Sky yet. And so for like, and the reason I didn't make the pivot to Threads is because most of those accounts I'm assuming are tied to Facebook and to IG,
Yep.
where we kind of learned a decade ago Facebook is kind of a different landmine to navigate, and IG is just kind of people creating sort of visual aesthetics. So I don't know how much they have to say that's worth engaging with either. So yeah, so I think I don't know, man. I think social media, the experiment, it had success, but I think we kind of know the experiment of social media, and I think we're sort of in the dark Terminator 2 Skynet era of it now, and so it's just not what you want from a moral standpoint for the most part.
Feels like Threads got kind of corporate-y too, for lack of a better word, where it's like, oh, this is my official, basically what early Twitter used to be, where like corporations could go and do fun things like, here's a giveaway and we're promoting this and whatever, and then advertisers slowly bled off of Twitter, and they're like, well, there's a captive audience of hundreds of millions of people somewhere, we got to go find them. And so then they went to Threads, and it's like, hey, look, brands, we're back again. And it just, yeah, it seemed very, I don't know, artificial in some ways. So Blue Sky at least is like, because I go to Twitter looking for, in the day when it was better to, like I like reading, I just like seeing what people are saying about a thing, even if I ain't got nothing to say about it. It's just like, hey, what is the discourse or whatever? And like Marcus said, like it's 15 blue checkmark posts of random, babble, and then I got 5 ads, and then I get down to it, and it's like, oh, here's some, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth the time to like seek out and find these responses and replies to stuff. Whereas on Blue Sky, some of that clutter is by the wayside, and you're just getting actual people talking, which is kind of like what the point of it was originally, it feels like.
Oh yeah, like I think Blue Sky, at least in the moment, like it's not ad supported, but they are getting infiltrated with bots now. And so, and also kind of the escape of I don't want to engage with like super far right like nut jobs or whatever that like people were saying about Twitter. Now they have made their way to Blue Sky, and now I think what Blue Sky is, there's this one guy who I don't know his name or whatever, but he's like a super transphobe, and there's a pocket of Blue Sky users that want him banned, but now Blue Sky is now reckoning with, we got this exodus of people who didn't want harassment. Now we're going to start getting people who want to harass our Blue Sky users. How do you now like protect them, or do you even protect them? And so now Blue Sky is sort of wrestling with what Twitter did before the Musk purchase, and actually a couple of years before the Musk purchase. And what George said is really accurate as far as like Blue Sky is, in a lot of people's minds, is we want to have a space that is not primed for optimal engagement. Like if you say some wild shit on Blue Sky, it's not supposed to live, right? Like it's not supposed to be like this massive thing that 50,000 people engage with, or 50,000 posts, 50,000 accounts engage with. And it's not supposed to be a trending topic to where people take it seriously, where you say something, you post, that's it for the most part. But for them, like I think a month or so ago, one of their moderators was like, yeah, we're considering like, the ad piece of it. And then with that comes, there are going to be things people looking to sell you on Blue Sky. And then that's kind of the slippery slope of where, like the corporatization and monetization of your thing, it's now unpure. And so for someone who's looking for the escape for, I just wanted to like just say silly things on the internet. Now I gotta, deal with people who now want engagement for their Viagra pills. And so I was like, well, what I dodged Twitter for. I mean, the funny thing is, like, other than like the AI thing, which Blue Sky has again, I'm paraphrasing this to say, like, in the moment right now, Blue Sky right now has said they're not going to do anything with AI. They don't want to cultivate AI. At the same time, though, you know, that could always change. Also, you could have users who use AI bots to kind of engage, like, posts and then use there for their AI purposes or whatever. I know for Twitter, they like fervently like, yeah, we're gonna use your post to curate our AI machines. And I know there was like the checkbox that you can uncheck for that, but to be honest, I don't believe that. So I think that from our posts and also from like the spaces that you can host on Twitter to where, you can have like people having conversations. I'm very certain they're engaging that and farming that for their AI data as well, which I don't know if that's even public or not. And I don't want to sound like a tinfoil hat, but it would make
You're our favorite tinfoil hat.
I'm really not even a conspiracy guy, which is kind of funny, but
I know.
If they're engaging your posts to like build their AI, it makes 1,000,000% sense they would do the same thing for your auditory voices for it as well. So that's a big reason why I've like stepped away, because it's something that I know is unavoidable. If you make anything put on the internet, AI can have a chance to grab me at it for sure. But there's just certain things I just don't want to like willingly commit to, and so. So yeah, so I think that, again, I think the social media experiment, everything that lives has to die. So I think that I just think that is one thing that if we didn't have social media in a decade, would the human race be better for it?
Yes.
I'm gonna check the box that says yes. So
yeah, no hesitation.
So yeah, and so I think that is going to come on one of your topics. And even if you use one of this for your intro, that's perfectly fine. But I think that for a lot of people, including me, kind of wrestling with what is next. Like if this truly goes away, like how are you filling your time and how are you getting information? Like how are you engaging with people? Because I know for me, I'm out the loop for like a lot of just news in general.
Yeah.
Like, and so Twitter was really good at that. And so now I'm like, I hear things like, I feel like, how we used to make fun of people? And I guess we can get started after this, but you know how Twitter users used to make fun of like Facebook users and be like, oh yeah, we heard that same joke last April. Like right. I'm basically that now. Like there's this wild quote that Denzel had about Stanley Kubrick that was a week old, and this was like, if I was on Twitter regularly, I would have saw like the moment it happened. I just randomly found out today, and so yeah, it's like how do you kind of, because we sort of programmed ourselves to be really tapped into it, how do you deprogram yourself from that, and how do you like now find your news sources from other alternatives? And so I think that's a lot of folks are wrestling with.
That's an interesting take, man, because I mean, honestly, I haven't used social media like a ton. I mean, other than music, because this year, obviously, the music has went up. So it's been me doing it from the business aspect of promoting myself. But as far as just me going on Twitter and saying stuff, like I actually have cut that down a bunch just over the past few years. And it wasn't even anything I did intentionally. It just is like, I don't really got nothing to say. Like when I was 10 years ago, I'd be like tweeting all day. And now it's like, is this even worthy of being a tweet or being a skeet? If that's what they're going to call it. I don't know.
That's so loud they call them skeets. I can't do that. That just and maybe that's how I'm getting older, because I feel like 10 years ago, if we would have started calling Twitter post skeets, like I probably would have been first on board. Now I'm 38. It's like I can't call this skeet, man. Like we could have did something
disappointment
more
in
clever
your
than
voice.
this.
The disappointment is palpable.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, we're getting the skeets off. Like, okay, all right. I used to be on the playground too.
It's a little funny. It's a little funny.
I don't know.
The first couple times. But yeah, I don't share as much, and like if I do share something, it's normally something that I do through my writing or I do on the pod. So, like I think I did like a couple here and there on Blue Sky, like some dumb things I just threw out there, and I was like, I'm just gonna do this like I used to post, and it was like really ridiculous stuff. Let's see, I lost my eye drops. Yeah. Because I literally couldn't find my eye drops. So I thought that was important. And then I seen this clip of LeBron acting like he's going to block Steph 18 times this morning. Like, for real, like, who cares? I don't even care about those tweets. The eye drop thing is kind of funny in retrospect. I mean, privacy is, especially with me being so public with my persona in a way, the privacy I do have means more to me. So that's why I feel like a lot of that has changed for me, where I'm not seeing every little thing, like cracking a Sprite Zero. No, that's for the pod. It's funnier on the pod because I was just talking about.
It's like I am a fan of the irreverent stuff. Like I like being irreverent, and that's what I used Twitter for a long time, and then it just like slowly morphed into like my work covering sports and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, I'm just going to use it in this capacity and pop out information and blah, 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 and not like give other people my, so I got a lot, maybe they'll come out on Blue Sky. Like I got a lot of views and opinions and shit like that would sit on me that I can use, that I can voice here, which is what I love.
You got two people who's ready to read them. You got
exactly. I appreciate it. So yeah, it's just turned into, and I like how Marcus got me thinking, like, when that sound like an old man, when we put it in like this century plus long context of the way the world / Americans consume media, and what that means, radio, cassettes, and just all these forms that it's evolved, right? When you're watching, when you're streaming a movie on Netflix or whatever, that is an evolved form of going to a Nickelodeon and seeing the dang film go through the thing that turned into beta, that turned into VHS, that turned into DVD / Blu-ray, and now here we are. So what is the next move and heck, Twitter and whatever you want to call social media now is an evolution of 90s message boards, comment sections, right? So where does it then? What is the next? Because everything that lives dies, and everything in a media sense evolves into something else. The way we listen to music, the way we consume film, the way we read things has all changed in our lifetimes exponentially, let alone in the history of the last century. So what does that look like next? Because at some point, the forms we're seeing it now and we're consuming now, like, oh, this is the end of the world and it sucks. Like it'll evolve into something. I don't know what that something is. Is it this AI stuff in the glasses? And it's just, like I always kind of wanted, and they still didn't come up with it, like in the heyday of Twitter, to give me just a block on like the right third of the screen where I could see the damn tweets in the real time as I'm watching sports. Because that's what I'm doing during sports.
That's what TweetDeck used to be. TweetDeck, that's why I used to mess with it, because you just watch the scroll.
Yeah.
That was such a satisfying
awesome.
feeling back then.
Went and ruined that. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out what's it going to look like? Because Marcus is right. It ain't going to look like where this thing where we go on the phone and it's bullshit, now. Like it's going to turn into and evolve into something next. And it's like 3 people in the world, or Blue Sky is more decentralized, but we got two rich people right now controlling most of the forms of it between Zuck and Musk. So it's like, I don't know, third party guy comes along and finds a way. Of course, there's a monetization component behind it somewhere, but just so I need somebody to come along and figure out what the next thing is. Maybe it's like 70 characters. I don't know. Like I don't know what's next, but something is going to evolve
cut
out
it
of it.
half.
Like cut it in half.
It's not even half of Twitter anymore. What's Twitter up to? Like 500 characters, I feel like. God, you could actually, if you
pay for it,
if you pay for it, you can tweet as much as you want to. Write a damn book on there. It still throws me off when I get the more button on Twitter. I'm like, more? I wouldn't even end the tweet longer, and you're going to sit here and make me.
Like I'll go click on the link for the article. Like that's what links for articles was. Is like I don't need to be reading all this here. You know, yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it's only been 2 years since Musk took over Twitter. It feels like it's longer than that, but it's only been 2 years.
5. Yeah.
I have not updated my Twitter app since it was announced he was buying Twitter. Like,
but it still works because the Android wouldn't stop working.
That's what I'm talking. Yeah, I held on for a long time, and then like the functionality I needed, like the shit just started like not working anymore,
breaking.
And I'm like,
yeah,
it couldn't see
the,
images.
The code got changed because so many people left. They had to literally had no access to the old code anymore. I bet. So
yeah,
that's what it is.
So it was so he got announced he was going to buy it. Then he tried to renege on the buy, and then the judge was like, "Nah, you said you're gonna buy this shit. You gotta buy it." That's the wildest thing about this whole like situation is like he didn't even really want this. It's like he just bought it just because, and it
wanted to own the libs or whatever.
Yeah, like literally, like it's I don't know, man.
Some people say he's the president right now.
I mean, hey, man, like we're just in a really weird ass time. Like it's like we really wanted to throw it back to the 80s, and we totally have. And so, like we're like. And, and we went down a real rabbit hole, but it's so funny where it's like I think that we assume that for this newer generation, it'll be, you know, quote unquote, more woke, more like more left. And then the election happened, and it was like, nope. And so it's like, you know, it's like and it's like,
I can laugh about it now.
Yeah, and it's like
I was not happy election week.
Nah, man. And so it's like it's not only we're gearing up for the next 4 years, but like how does the next 4 years affect the next 4 decades of American life? And is this going to birth like kind of what George said as far as like one thing about the next thing, I'm not necessarily like a futurist, but I can see why people become futurists to where just the current landscape of things just feels so
terrifying,
raw, and so volatile that to keep your sanity, you have to kind of wonder like, what is the next thing to come? Like when you scorch the earth, what's going to grow from that? And with social media, with like TikTok, with like the election, with kind of a recession of not only economics, but of just sort of like the political landscape and social landscapes, and the rising and falling of these different kind of movements, what's going to be birthed out of all this? And it's a real interesting time, not necessarily in a good way, but like it's just like we keep, for a lot of social folks, or socially like liberal folks, not even socially liberal, like even if you're someone who is like a centralist at heart, you should still be able to see like there's still a regression happening in this country, not even just in this country, but just in the world in general. And if you're a centralist and you want a convergence of marrying the old and the new, okay, but you're steering more toward the old. And so who's going to be the movement or the folks or the group of folks that are going to bring us to we can go into the future together. And so I just think that right now we're sort of in a way where where I know the Democratic Party is really reckoning with that, like being essential versus like a leftist. Even like it's funny, like the notion before the election was like a Republican versus a Trump Republican. Was no, like Republicans on the same page. Like they like it was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to vote for Trump. Well, November happened. So it's like, so it's just like I think a lot of convergence of different mindsets and different attitudes, and who's going to be the person or the group of people to take us like all into at least kind of one mindset, where like, yeah, if you're not super like liberal, okay, all right, and that's fine for you, but who's going to be the group of people to say you shouldn't encroach on other people who are? So yeah, we're just in a really interesting space and time where I would love just a year where nothing like historically significant happens. If
when was the last one of those? 2019?
Oh
no.
What was
God? The last
maybe 15. I don't know. Like, was it 2015?
It might have been 15 because Trump happened in 16.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Barack was reelected in 12.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 13. I don't know. I just want
crazy.
I just want a year where just like Trump's gonna be president for the next 4 years, hopefully, and if like 2026 is just like, yeah, we're just a regular country, like we're just we're just like no assassination attempts happen, like no collapse happens, like no
global pandemic
thing. Yeah, like
no global death.
What if we just woke up in September and realized, hey, it's been a pretty cool year? I would love that. Like I would, oh yeah, like Trump's in office, but he's calm or sedated in some way. Like I don't know, like
quiet.
No, man.
Yeah.
Like, we just need a break. we just need a break for life.
Can we get a break? We ain't really happy here.
Yeah.
Ja Rule's lyrics coming true 25 years later.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
And I just saw some terrible news. The Batman Part 2 is not coming out until October of 2027. So
that's all right. That's all right. I'll wait.
I mean, I have a choice.
I mean, Spider-Verse is going to be at least 26 at this point. Anna heard should make more trash. So
yeah, he's a very lame. He's a very lame individual. It's not good for him. It's not good at all.
It's not good for him. I mean, sometimes it just, that's all it is, man. So while we have a pause in the action, welcome to the Barack Obama approved world's greatest podcast, Hyphen Nation. I am your host, B Hyphen, aka Kellen Conley, and the two gentlemen that you've heard so far since we started this episode is my semi-regular co-host number one, Marcus ShowinmadLov Robinson. Marcus, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I am alive.
Hey.
I'm here. We're wrapping up the year 2024. It has its up and downs, but we still out here.
A lot of downs, apparently. Yeah,
we still out here.
I'm so glad to have you back on the show. Always a treat whenever you bless me with your presence and all of the Thought Father knowledge. Yeah, but also, semi-regular co-host number two, George Gerbo. George, the Howitzer Gerbo, is also here. How are you doing today, George?
I'm good, Kellen. I'm good. Happy to be with y'all. It's always fun. Love chopping it up. So appreciate you having me.
It's been since 21 was the last time that I did a numbers on the board episode, and we have the group chat. But I was like, man, we just need to get together and do a numbers episode and kind of take collection of how this year went. As you've heard so far, it's been a real one. It has been
Early returns, not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Not
has
what you
been
want.
a real one, man. But
I
we
like
got
Marcus's optimism for 26, though. I'm excited. Ready
I
back
know.
for 26.
I like. Well, I mean, the inauguration is going to happen in January, so that cuts it. That cuts 2025. So,
And then it's like 4 months of just batshit crazy of regulations and trying to skirt the law, and then So
absolutely,
Pretty much.
absolutely.
Pretty much, man. I hate that I just got to put my head down and just cope with this, man. It's that I still haven't wrapped my head around it, honestly, because I had to stop thinking about it. I had to stop thinking about the impending doom that is coming down the way in January.
Yeah, I mean, some folks obviously is going to be harder than others, but it's just one of the things to where, yeah, it's going to be some tough sledding for a lot of folks, but for the folks that it is, we just got to be there to support them in ways that are tangible, mobilize and build community, and for those that do, pray. So,
yeah.
So it's gonna be a weird ass ride, man. It's gonna be a weird ass ride.
Can't believe we're getting back on the ride. Can't believe we're getting
Were we
back.
ever really off it though? Like I guess
we never went away.
From a technical sense, sure, but I don't. The Trump ride was just always in the ether. Like, it was just always, even when he lost, it was like, yeah, he's coming back.
But you didn't have to ride it before because there were other rides at the carnival, and now all the other rides at carnival are busted, and there's only one ride left in the ride.
Touché.
Dang.
No seatbelts, metal bars everywhere. If it goes upside down,
carnival with one ride would be awful, and it'd be the longest line ever. And it's like, I gotta ride the ride. That's what I'm here for.
I mean, life is a ride, so we're making every day we wake up, we make the choice to ride the ride. So
as long as it's not Rascal Flatts talking about life is a highway, I can live with that, I guess. So, bridging off of that, one of the topics I wrote down was what got you through election week of 2024 this year. So, George, I want to pass it to you because I would just like to hear kind of what you went through that week, because we're just throwing it all on the table now. Whatever.
Yeah.
Welcome to
in the interest of full disclosure, I work in journalism and the news industry, and so it's like and part of the Twitter conversation where it's just like I've just started paring back the shit that I follow and the shit that like reaches me, because I'm going to hear about it, regardless. And I read Politico. I get Politico in the morning, for people, nerd people like politics and whatever, because I still like, or I maybe not like anymore, but I have an appreciation for like the machinery of government. Like that's kind of the civics of it. That's always.
Yes, I can agree to that. Yeah.
Is what has interested me about it. And just leading up to the whole thing, and it just became evident, and the polls are wrong and this and that. And first of all, like, polls died a fiery death like in 2012. Speaking of 2012, like polls had, I keep this in the back of my head and I don't know why, polls had Romney, I think, like +3 national polling averages, Mitt Romney +3 2012. Obama won in a landslide. Like what, just. And then I ask people, is like, have you or do you know anyone in your life that's answered a poll for one of these, like, whatever they may be? Like, I ain't getting no calls, I don't know anybody that's ever taken one of these phones. So it's aggrieved people, or I don't know how they reach these people, but they're reaching people, and it's just not a valid way to sample people anymore, aside from like physically knocking on their doors and asking them who they're voting for and X, Y, and Z. But to the point, no, it's just like, yeah, it's like, okay, there it is. There's the result. Yay, great. Because I was prepared for the whole drag it out, week long thing, like we had last go around between 2020 and all that. And admittedly, shockingly, didn't materialize. Not to overanalyze the election again, but to Marcus's point, it was surprised. The surprising aspect was how Kamala Harris underperformed Joe Biden 4 years later in traditional Democratic areas.
Oh,
which
yeah.
means either those people chose not to participate in the process or they then switched their votes to Trump. Places like New Jersey was the closest Republicans had ever been in New Jersey in 20 something years or whatever. And it's that seeing those numbers where, you know, you'd expect somebody like her who was younger and had more energy and I believe connected with more people than a 78 or whatever he is year old man could have when he started the campaign. Would have expected more enthusiasm out of traditional Democratic places, Philadelphia, the New England, whatever it may be. And that just didn't happen when you started to see that. And it's like, whew, okay. So,
it was because even for like first time voters, if you look at like data for first time voters, since like for the last like at least 20 years, even like the 90s, like first time voters typically lean toward Dems. This was like nah.
No.
Yeah.
And it's like in the Democratic Party they could not mobilize the young vote, and like that is a part of the reason why Kamala lost. And I think I really think the Democratic Party is really at a crossroads of where are you going, like because even for like AOC, like she was, you know, she lost for what was that, the oversight committee to a gentleman who is 74 with cancer. Like, and it's like this is literally like it's kind of manifested Democrats' problem or issue internally, where it's like you have this young, vibrant person who does like every single person like her? No, but she has at least a tenacity about her and a honesty about her where even if you don't one-to-one align with her views, she at least has a fire about her.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of cultivate that to make it something more tangible. But it's like, nah, 74 cancer patients. This is insane. Like
there's still the seniority thing, among Democrats, where Republicans, to their own, you know, benefit and or detriment, depending on how you view it, you know, have churned through people, and so you get these random ass, crazy ass people that shouldn't have positions of power or even a voice in the whole process, being able to hijack the entire, you know, party in some ways. And then the Democrats, for, you know, you call it unity or loyalty or whatever, but the old people at the top have been able to successfully beat down the young people and hold them at bay for like the better part of a decade now. And it's impressive if you like continuity, but it's also like, you know, will drive you crazy if you continue to hear the same old 70 and 80, you know, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, appreciate your accomplishments, etc., all that jazz. But like, then there's a 40-year gulf to Hakeem Jeffries, who I think may be 50, maybe not even 50, you know,
right.
Or Cory Booker, you know, like what are we doing? What are you doing there? Yeah. So there's just they've not established the continuity. And so then it leaves you in this position where like who, you know, pick who is a national leading Democratic voice. And it's like, well, Obama still, I don't know. Is it a governor somewhere? Did Shapiro, like who, you know, so they've lost.
They definitely don't have any star power.
They've lost some of that. And in the politics is just like it's this feel, you know, how you feel, and when you read and you get into the minutia about, you know, how people vote and think about Trump, it's, oh yeah, he says all that crazy shit and it's bad, but they're still willing to just say, oh, he's just saying crazy shit, and don't believe that there's going to be any action behind it. Take that at your own danger. And he makes, you know, he's saying some things I kind of agree with. So it don't take much to persuade. Like people are not, we think of voters kind of like monolithic, probably too much. And it don't take much to persuade people. It just can be a slim thing. Yeah. Oh, I liked what he said about that. I'm going to, you know, one issue voter or whatever.
Yeah. The one issue voter trope is legitimate. Like if Kamala would have been like, we're going to do a new stimmy of, instead of the 1,400, we're going to give you 1,600 now. All right, I'll take $1,600 right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I mean, Biden, you know, he was really, you know, we're going to eliminate student debt. We're going to take that student debt away. And then, like, I think a couple of days ago, the Biden administration has withdrawn the student loan cancellations. Like, well, it's time to start paying them bitches back. So
I've been paying mine back for a while now.
So like how for the Democratic Party, like they're really at a piece of how do you cultivate young voters for your base that's youngish, like our age range from the, I mean, we're kind of the kids of the 90s, and so the sensibilities that we have, where we're really good about deciphering. A lot of folks, for the most part, are good at deciphering like fake news on the internet. Like we know how to use computers. Like we try to be progressive in the ways that we have been, even if we come from a standpoint of our childhood, maybe we weren't, but as adults we try to be. Like we at least have that kind of foresight to where we're really trying to grow our kids and grow our future. Like we still have those kind of dreams or whatever. How do you kind of cultivate that age block now? And then also, how do you get the older folks to realize that their time is up? And so I think the Democrats have they have a lot to work on in the next 4 years. And so how are they going to do it? That's a true question they need to figure out right now, instead of, oh yeah, Biden, we're gonna let you keep running the last minute. Yeah, let's just pump Kamala in. Well, she's short of the same results. Like
everybody with
she should have been
eyes,
the nominee from the start.
Anybody with eyes understood what the president was doing or going through, and it took the party writ large until July to be like, no, he was on CNN and it was real bad. It was like, what have you been watching? Like, what have you been?
And wasn't it basically like George Clooney was like, Biden should not run anymore? And that was like I feel
there
like
was a lot of people
they were like,
that.
There's a lot of
yeah. It was like, yo, we voted for Biden. We get it. Like in that moment, he was the choice to make. But then there was something that happened in the last 3 years where it was just like obvious he was not the choice to lead the party. So why is this disconnect happening to where you can't be active and like
prepare
setting this up
in
years ago, like literally years ago, you should have been priming Kamala to run as president, not just in the last 6 months before the most. The 6 months before the most important election, and I need a break from the most important election of our lifetimes.
Preach it.
But it was literally like up on deck is the most important election of our lifetime. Like, why are we waiting? This isn't a trip to Hawaii.
We've letted this shit, yo.
It's just so strange. Like this. They're at a real weird place with their party, man. Like, I don't know, man. They're fucking stumbling right now. So
taskered this, man. What the hell?
Hoping for third way something. You look at democracies around the world, and they're not this very binary 1 or 2 A or B system that we've cultivated and held in the history of the country. Pre-Civil War, it wasn't even like that. So it looks something more like Britain and France with multiple different parties. And I know we don't have a parliament, but I'm praying that there's some place for a third group of thought in there where it's just like, hey, do the simple things, feed people, take care of people. And it ain't got to be all, over here in the extremes. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's
disheartening. It really is, because we've seen the same process happen our entire lives. It's been 2 parties. It's one or the other. And then the other side is like, oh, I don't like that guy. And I do miss the simpler times, obviously, where it's like, would I rather have George W. Bush in the office right now? Absolutely. Absolutely. In 2006, Kevin Conley could not imagine that idea, But the fact that it's before it was always okay, our guy lost, this guy's in, kind of whatever. I mean, you paid attention on some level, but just the whole political disruption that Trump's thrown into the entire system is just it's just maddening. It's just got crazy, and it's only been what he started running in 2015. So we're about to come up with like what 10 or 11 years since he's been in politics.
And from that, like, I don't know, I'll use the lazy media spin trope or whatever, like where media and or politicians and or whoever else have successfully spun the idea in the minds of a lot of Americans that you have to have or find some kind of identity in the donkey or the elephant. And it's like, yes, serious decisions are made at the federal level and they can affect in an instant or a snap, a Supreme Court this, executive order that can affect, millions of Americans with a stroke of a pen or a decision. And there is some seriousness to that. But also, like, we as Americans don't need to find our identity in the colors that go to Washington and vote for us. Like, you find your identity in yourselves, and hopefully the people you would like to represent you can represent a part of that or a portion of that. But we don't need to continue to find ourselves in these dumb fights, R&D and left and right and liberal, progressive, conservative, whatever. Like, it's enough. Like, people, they've done, whoever, I'll say media and the politicians, specifically Republicans, have done a good job of spinning that it's an identity and fight and this and all that. And it ain't. It don't need to be. And sometimes it ain't that serious. Sometimes it is, but other times you don't need to base your entire identity in I'm wearing a color and blah blah blah. Like, it's enough of that. If I stripped all the colors away and you just went and talked to the person that lives to the left or the right of you, and I didn't bring up a political party or whatever, you'll find there's a lot of commonality, and that's the thing that we're missing. But commonality isn't sexy and it doesn't sell.
That's the scary thing, because honestly, as mad as I want to be at all these people, especially all the people who was posting about the day after the election, not the ones that were like, yay, they were like be nice to those people that didn't agree with you. And those posts are the ones that made me mad. It's like, just because we don't think the same doesn't mean we're not all the same people. And it's like, yeah, I agree, but you also voted for all these horrible things. Yeah. And so it's very difficult to balance that, because on one side there is a commonality. On the other side, you voted for idiocy. It's just the balance is not there. And I don't know if it'll ever be there, unfortunately. I don't care how forgiving I am. It's still going to be in the back of my mind. Like, there's family friends right now who I know, and like every time this name is mentioned in my house, I'm like, they voted for Donald. Like, it'd be an angel just be telling the most random thing. I'm like, voted for Donald. Like, blah blah blah. That's cool. They voted for Donald though, so there's that. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not, but y'all know I'm petty and a hater anyway. So there's that part too.
Yeah, I live. We live in red states, and so it's even it's one of the things to where the voting data is what it is, and so there's going to be people who you run into that just don't agree with you politically, and so it's not like I have to hate this person for their voting choice, and you can find the sort of the common ground in between there. But then it's like, okay, I'm not going to hate this person, but we may want to have a conversation of, you voted for this entity and it's really impeding people that I love. So we need to make sure you don't do this again. So
seriously. We have a new user in the chat though.
Eric, what's going on, buddy?
Handsome Bane, what's up, buddy?
Hey, bro, it sounds like y'all talking about some bummer shit right now, man.
We are.
We are.
We are.
I'm getting ready to go in here and sell weed in a minute. I didn't even know y'all was doing this early. I'm like, man, damn, this is like a night activity, but y'all getting bummed out midday.
It gives us a couple hours to rebound.
Well, the thing is, when
I don't know what y'all talking about.
It doesn't matter how bummed out you get right now, because I am totally not sober. So there's that.
Well, I got two things, because I'm like, damn, I didn't know y'all was doing this right as I'm getting ready to go into work. But hey, I just had the idea as I was just sitting here waiting to pick up the food for my job. On off pay weeks, we pay every other week. On the not pay week, we buy them lunch. So I was picking up the dinner for tonight, and Luigi Mangione won't go away. And so like that shit came up, and I was like, bro decided to do something about that shit. At the end of the day, when you think
He most certainly did.
Hey, and listen, bro, I'm all for the life and blah 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 blah, dog. But y'all know where I'm going with this, man. Like, hey, deny 33% of people who pay it for their motherfucking you pay your premium every month, and it's time for insurance is in case shit. All right. And then shit happened, and then you can't even be like, yeah, bro, here go your bread for that thing that you was giving me bread for. You can't do that, bro. And anyway, and then I listen, bro.
You're not wrong.
It's not like I was on some bummer shit. So, I don't know. Let's bring some jokes into this shit.
Oh, we've had some jokes.
George Gerbo, what up, baby?
Bane, it's good to see you, man. How's it going?
I ain't got a chance to kick it with Joe. I feel like what was it the Mania show?
Yes.
No.
That's probably the last song.
For sensible takes.
I try.
Well,
I try and be there.
But before I go in, I'm gonna pose this question to y'all.
Okay.
And it's got to do with the political climate and all that we talking about. Y'all know our boy the Hulkster, right? He's real close to the president-elect, right? So I'm trying to think. If it's like a room full of like, it's us, it's Snoop Dogg, Sister Soldier, and like LeVar Burton, a couple other people. We all take our keys, we put them in, we turn it, and we make the call. We have Snoop make the call to Hulk Hogan. We say, "Hey, dog, you go ahead and make that problem go away. We'll let you say it."
Oh my God!
Would y'all turn the key, bro?
Listen. Listen.
Oh wow.
Listen.
Even though I feel like something worse would take his place, yes. He can have it all. He can have my love and admiration back and everything.
Well, you ain't gotta do all that, because I think that he was fully going to abuse the privileges. Absolutely. But like, he can use it. You know what I'm saying? That's where we leave it. We don't, we don't put a lot of qualifiers on it, because we want him to, well, I don't know. We want to see where he's at. You know what I'm saying? If he'll do it or not,
Wow. Talk about indecent proposals.
Bro, I've been waiting like 2 weeks. Since you told me that we were doing this, I don't know where that question popped up in my brain, but it was like, yeah, you gotta ask. You gotta ask.
So Hulk Mangione, that's what you're proposing?
I mean, listen, bro. We know that this guy will do anything if he can get over. It goes over.
Talking about American hero.
Well, he would be the American
black people, and like, well, I mean, there's a lot of people who can't fucking stand the guy, bro. And like I said, like, if he got hit by a bus, I'll throw up a prayer real quick, like for aesthetics. But like, honestly, bro, I'm not mourning, And so if the Hulkster, bro, like, I mourned Hogan. You know what I mean? Like, I literally did mourn Hogan, like, just as a fan. If Hulkamania lives, brother, and he learns, like, because he wants to be in there, dog.
If that happened, that would be the third party, the Hulkamania party.
Dog, black people could get behind that face turn, because it's all pro wrestling, baby. It's all a work.
It absolutely is.
It's all a work. So if dog, come on, like, let's write a happy ending to this story, dog. Like, let's figure this out.
We need Triple H.
LeVar Burton and Sister Soldier are in the room.
Is LeVar our national consciousness? Well, I just want to know why LeVar's there. It seems like he shouldn't be a part of it.
Oh, listen, bro. You need LeVar Burton, all LeVar Burton in every room when a big decision is being made.
He needs to be in the room where it happens.
In there, like, because he's going to be the guy that's going to shoot straight one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. All right.
Like, brother spent our entire childhood telling us we don't have to take his word for it. It's a lot of people who should take LeVar Burton's word for it, dog. And I'm willing to like that would be the irony of it, is that we just like, we all talk it all over. LeVar Burton's gonna be quiet over there, and then we just gonna be like, well, LeVar, you haven't said anything yet. What do you think? Well,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
he would let us know that while he understands the heart behind the action, he would keep us very honest about the day after, basically. Which you need someone to be like, if X happens, the world is going to be a different place, and he will be the one to keep everyone honest about that.
And Mark Rob, I'm gonna tell you something, bro. That is your role here. Like, you like, I really do feel like Mark Rob is.
Someone's got to reel it in sometimes,
I ain't gonna
man.
say that, but like, yeah. I think that you just described you, and that's why you understand it so well.
I get it.
He keeps us grounded, man. There's nothing he can do in Boston, but he normally keeps us grounded.
Hey, man, listen, bro, what happens here stays here, dog. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Whatever lighters was working in whatever garage is, that's for that moment,
Exactly.
That's all that is. Hey, man, we all gotta refill the creativity machine sometimes, dog. That's what that is.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
All right, man. Let me go in here and tolerate. I was about to say what I really wanted to say. Let me go in here and tolerate people real quick.
Okay. You could have said it. It's Hyphenation.
Nah, never mind. But yeah, bro, I gotta lock in. I can't just be out here all willy nilly. I had to get the Hogan one out there because I was like, bro, I've been holding on to this one for a minute. Like, I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion like, maybe, And then Snoop got to like talk to him about it later and be like, man, don't be doing no hard ERs, bro.
Hey, cuz.
You're gonna have to put some A's on the end of them bitches, dog. All right. Whatever you say, bro.
May you have a successful day at work there, sir.
Hey, man, listen, man. It's Friday. These people, they like crackheads out here, man. I'm gonna like, I really did stop. Like, I really did quit teaching to gentle parent old people, dog, because they really do be still trying to come in here on that Karen shit. And I'd be like, bro, nobody has to like tolerate you. But I'll put you on the list so fast you'll never be able to get. Like, we had a lady the other day, and this is the last one I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah. Lady came in, saw her ID was banned, was like, still? And I'm like, yeah, that's what ban means. And so like we looked up what she did. I'm like, bro, you was throwing shit in the parking lot at people? Like, no, you can never come back. And the dude that came in there was so embarrassed. Like, why the hell you dragged me up here? And you banned. I'm like, bro, you can't even buy nothing. Like, you gotta come back later without her. Like, I almost called the cops because she was throwing things at people in the parking lot, bro.
That's so weird. Like, it's a weed store. You should be calm.
But that's the other thing is, like, a lot of times we just be meeting people on, like, the day they were an asshole. So try to,
one
like,
bad day.
But, like, when you doing shit like throwing cans, like, you can't do that, bro.
Except throwing cans.
Yeah, like, you come in there and you call somebody a bitch or something, like, that sucks. And, you know, we're going to be watching you and you can come in and apologize. But, like, yeah, I ain't got to tell y'all. Y'all got good sense.
Yeah.
But,
throwing cans is a wild activity.
Throwing cans is wild, bro. Like, fucking
throwing SpaghettiOs at motherfuckers.
We got big ass, like, big windows over here, bro. Like, what happens if you hit a corner or something? Anyway.
Oh, shit.
You ain't got that much.
Well, let me go in here and be people's second brain real quick.
Throwing cream corn at motherfuckers.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Mark Rob, I'm gonna get with you about we should do this again sometime because I can't wait to do them 2 movies.
All right, yes, sir.
Those are in the I can close my eyes and watch the shit whenever I want category for me. So
all right.
All right, fellas.
All right, brother.
Peace.
All right, y'all take care.
Have a good
man.
day.
Peace.
All right, so
We
George,
definitely needed that. Yes.
We needed that, I think. I was.
Yes, absolutely.
it was
That
getting deep
great
in here.
take.
You're not wrong. We were making some
He was
good
right.
points. It was getting deep in here. So George, I'm just going to throw the question
Yeah.
right at you. Snoop tells Hogan to take out Donald, and Donald's allowed to say the word whenever he wants to without the hard ER. Do you say yes or no?
Man, I was leaning yes. Yeah, it's just. I was trying to figure out how. I think it'd just be full Nelson on the desk in the Oval Office, and that's all we really need. If you do it hard enough, I mean, he's like 78 or whatever. So I think
I had to do some of the Japanese moves he used to use because if
Yeah.
he uses his current move set, it ain't going to do it. It ain't going to work.
Oh my god,
Them leg
Oh,
drops
that
not
was
hitting no
necessary.
more.
That was so necessary. Oh, appreciate it.
Oh man, I love Eric. I just looked at my phone and he's like, "Y'all doing this now?" Like, yeah. We have lives to live, sir. I understand that you're working. That's why I was like, "Are you working on the 27th?" He's like, "No, I'm free," but then he had his weeks mixed up. So
That's funny.
we tried. We
yeah.
tried. Oh, that was good. Mark Rob, I assume that you would let him do it.
I mean, some things are for the greater good. So,
All right.
you know.
There you go.
Oh man. So let's pivot off of all of that doom and gloom and Hogan face turn stuff. Let's just jump into something a little bit more positive. So, Mark Rob, what was your favorite accomplishment that you made this year, sir?
My favorite accomplishment was, I think at the beginning of the year for season 8 of the We Should Do This Again Sometime podcast.
Great podcast.
I think that may have been my favorite season of recording, and a lot of it had to do with the great guests that we were able to get in the show. There was a little bit of time where Kat was a little bit more sort of on vacation, and she was a little bit out, and so for season 8, we had a lot of good people step in to help fill in for Kat. Obviously, you can't fill Kat's shoes, but
Never.
you know, we get some different alternatives in there, and so. Kellen, actually, it was actually the episode released January the 5th. You were a part of our 150th episode.
I was.
Where we discussed Devil Wears Prada and Dreamgirls.
Great episode.
And yeah, and so you're definitely a part of a really big crowd of folks that were able to get in there. And so couple that with, I was able to go to South by Southwest, started doing a little bit more writing for film for HughWatchedIt.com.
HughWatchedIt.com, HUE watchedit.com.
Yeah, and so I think this year, getting a bit more refined with being a film critic and kind of building that muscle and that skill. I think that was my favorite part of this year because I think we kind of talked about a lot of downer stuff, but I know a question that may come up is how do you have things sort of beyond things that get you down to motivate you? And film this year and community this year have really been that for me. So I'm not, obviously, you know about the community aspect. You know, we got to hang out in Boston this autumn, and so that was a really fun trip. And so the idea is, like, are we recording episodes like every week? You know, we're not doing that anymore. You know, like, life shifts, and so that happens, but we still have these like beautiful relationships with these folks. And I think this year is really kind of a reminder of that too. Even in the muck and the mire, you still have like a good support system with some pretty good folks. And so that's something that you can always something you always want to keep with you and to keep in the forefront of your mind and your heart. And so I think this year was pretty good for that.
That's amazing to hear. That's amazing to hear, and I appreciate that shout out because I always love coming on, and we should do this again sometime. So,
Yes, sir.
always a fun time. I miss Kat, but we definitely have our way of making our own magic together, don't we? So,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
there's that. Mr. Gerbo, what was your favorite accomplishment of 2024
Man,
or
quick shout.
accomplishments?
Yeah, quick shout out to the Moneyball episode, Moneyball / Major League episode, which is my favorite, obviously, this year. It was so good.
Thank you.
Major League is a romantic, is a rom-com. Think about it. Think about it if you ain't. I work. That's like gonna sound writ large type of thing. I worked on myself a lot this year, like mentally, physically stuff. Like I've always been like a cardio or bike or whatever person. Like I actually, I'm just gonna sound like very facetious, but like I actually went to the gym and started doing like some weight stuff, and it's just me getting on the machines and whatever.
It's not facetious. You want to say space baby? What you doing? What are you doing, George?
Downplaying it as always. No, just worked on some. Yeah, just trying to be stronger, and I have long had like a self body image problem that has gotten better and better and better. And this past year has been the most comfortable I've felt with myself in a long time. So I was a go in the closet and you put on a shirt and hate how I looked and like change into 3 shirts and they'd all be laying on the bed and like, finally ended up on one. Like that's that type of thing, give or take the day. And now that's less of a immediate thought in my subconscious. Like I just put on clothes and I go, and so just working on myself mentally, spiritually, physically, and that type of stuff has been the biggest. It's like started, as I was thinking about it coming down to the end of the year, like started probably around February last year, like after Christmas, month or so after Christmas, and just like, let me try and do some stuff. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And just, it's the habit, like, I don't know what the saying is, or you'll hear like if you do something 2 weeks or something like that, it turns into a hobby, and turns into a habit. And it's just like getting into things that are habitual, but good habitual, and doing those things and not like, it's, I got to find time to do. It's like, no, like I want to go out and move and just, and do those things and try and make myself better. And then with that comes learning more about yourself mentally and like how I'm carrying certain things. So it's that self-improvement, that's the physical side. And yeah, kind of like what we were talking about off the top with like trying to just let the shit that doesn't affect me not care about it anymore, and the things that are outside of your control. I'm an overthinker a lot. Head will run wild down, rabbit holes or whatever, and then just like boom, then I'll shut it off. But like I'm doing less of that. So just trying not to let put the cart before the horse type of thing. Just like let the things that come to me come, and not dwell on the things that I can't change and people and other people's opinions and whatnot, that not let those affect me as much. So I've done a lot of, and some it's conscious, like it don't just happen. You kind of got to put in the thought and put in the process and the time and think about how you think about things and whatever, and how can you change those, and what are some things you can do that fosters, better ways to think about things. And so I've done a lot of that in the last year. So I'm happy, as everything else in the, shitstorm everywhere else in the country. Very personally, I feel happy with how this year has gone, and comfortable in my own skin. So very happy about that.
I think a lot of men just don't talk about body image that they have with themselves. And I think for women have really done a really good job of at least cultivating spaces where women can kind of talk to other women about body issues. Like, is it still prevalent for women? Absolutely. But I think men don't really allow themselves to have those conversations. So I'm really glad you did bring that up, because, as a person who has been fat by definitional standards of what fat is for like my entire life, like those are kind of issues that men are definitely affected by it, but there's not many spaces where men can actually like have conversations about that. And so I think we're definitely in the era of autonomy and of body image and of the self, and so you really need healthy ways to kind of process that. And so even like you said, as far as like you just got to get started. Like it doesn't matter if you start small, if you start slow, like you just need to get started on something that is healthy for you and to where you feel comfortable with yourself. And so, and also for men, it's important that men actually have those conversations with men also, because it's real easy, especially like, I mean, we were kids of the 90s. Like we know what public schools were for like men and like jokes and shit like that. And so, but now now we're adults, like we're not kids anymore. And so we now need, spaces to where it's okay to like talk about like things that we feel and like how we feel. And if something's fucked up, we need spaces to like address that and then move beyond it too. So I'm really glad you did bring that up, because it's a really important thing that affects a lot of men that they don't talk about at all.
Yeah, because I rarely talk that way other than around Angel. And she's normally like, "Shut up!" And I'm like, I mean, you know, because it's like, man, I hate the way my stomach looks. And then she's like, "You're not fat," and it's like she's not trying to downplay it or whatever. But it'd probably be better for me to actually say that in a space around other men versus just being like saying it to my wife, because I'm not gonna hop on a call with Mark Rob, even though I know it could be like, man, I hate the way this shirt fits me, dog. And it's like I just do, and it's like it's a thought that everybody has. You hate the way something fits. You hate the way that you hate the way you look in the mirror. But body image is something that we all deal with. But you're absolutely right. It's not normalized for men. So for me to say that to Angel, yeah, that's one thing. But I totally agree. There should be more cultivation of being able to be open, especially once you're an adult and getting past all the fat jokes and all the little boy stuff that we used to do, and actually be like, yo, man, I'm just gonna lay this on you, and just need you to listen, and be like, blah 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 blah, and it just be about, it'd be the same thing as like, I'm having a hard time, which is another thing that men struggle with, just saying I have a hard time, being able to say it about your own body. So Georgia, I applaud you as well, because I damn sure wasn't going to hop on here and say anything about that. I was going to kind of lean towards it, but I do applaud you and Mark Rob for the fact that that George, you were honest and felt comfortable enough to say it, and then Mark Rob for, of course, just saying that we need to say that more in general, which is a lot. Just another thing on the list that men could do better, that we could do as far as communicating. So, no, I totally love that. I totally love that. So I guess my biggest accomplishment, one of them, was, let's see, I put out an album. I guess that's kind of important. I haven't gotten to talk about the whole experience on the pod, but like you said, life be lifing, and when I get to sit down and really talk about the whole thing, I will. But I did manage to put out my second album in 10 years. It's called Hyphen, and it's available everywhere.
Kellen, if you be up to it, I would like to interview you about your album.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we could totally do that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm totally anytime. But yeah, like the whole, like, I had this miscue happen last summer because Mark Rob, you had came in. It was summer 23. You were passing through. We went into Super Red Bowl, and I played you the one song I had done, and like that was going to be like a crucial part of the whole album. And then finally, I got a hold of the original producer, because I found on YouTube, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I sold it." I'm like, "Did you lease it, or was it exclusive sell?" And he never said anything. So I was like that was like a crucial cog of my whole album. But somehow I managed to kind of bounce off of that, and then just start recording, and then re-recording, and then re-recording, and then I got sick. I had to re-record more stuff, and then mixing and mastering. But to finally get the album out, despite a last-minute sample issue, get it out to the world, and then figure out a way to also get it on streaming, so that's available for mass consumption. Like it was something that I didn't think I was going to get back to. Like I had said for years that I dabbled here and there, but I had no desire to make a new album. I had thoughts to do new music, but never really followed through. But being able to see what I accomplished in the last how long did it take me to record the album? So I started recording it summer 23 and was done by March or February of this year. So about 8 months to record the whole album. And I was very proud for my follow through because it's pretty bad when your dad looks at you and say, "Am I going to get another album before I die?" I'm like, "Oh, damn, Dad. All
That's a
right."
bit of a burden.
He's like, "You gonna do
Oh,
more
man.
music before I die?" I'm like, "Are you sick?" He's like, "No," but he's like, "That's not the point." I'm like, all right, Dad." So mission accomplished there, and being able to unlock that, and apparently, humble brag to. No, I'm gonna brag. I'm not that bad at rapping at this age. Like I really thought that I kind of feel like I jumped another level. I'm not an elite lyricist by any means, but I do feel like that the what I say has meaning and it comes with a certain kind of talent, I guess, all along. And so, yeah, I'm very, very happy that the album got to come out. And what the hell is happening? Mark Rob's telling me to wrap it up. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna play at these settings over here."
I didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't do that?
No.
Who turned on together mode?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was me. I was changing the. I'm just trying to get the pictures to fill
I
my
thought it
screen
was
better. And
crashing. I'm like, "Oh shoot, Skype is crashing," and then all of a sudden we're just
that's my bad. That's my bad.
chilling on the rocks, man. Welcome to Hyphen Nation, live from Cooper's Rock. We're just hanging out here,
Hilarious.
enjoying the beautiful weather here in December 2024. And for the audio listeners, you're going to be confused, but go to the YouTube channel and you can watch the pod live there too.
There it is.
But yeah, that and then making it to Boston with a big push from Angel, because when Angel wasn't going to go to Boston anymore, I was like, well, I don't want to spend the money to go to Boston. And then next thing I know, she's like, "I bought you tickets and you're going." I was like, okay. So shout out to Angel for still making Boston happen, because that was an incredible experience. And Mark Rob, again, thank you for coming and blocking off some time and being up there at the same time. And I had an amazing couple days, man. I hope you enjoyed your time as well, because it sounds like you did.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
So at least we have something to smile about that we accomplished, man.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
For sure. So let's get into another topic that we all love. Gerbo, what was your go-to pair of sneakers for 2024?
Man, I got in, and I feel like I'm always behind trend a little bit, so probably the same with this. I finally got in the Dunk Low game. I've got these. They're suede, but like I think you all seen them, multiple color. It's like got a like ocean blue. It's a canvas type of feel to them. I call them my summer shoes, but they work with but I busted them out here in the fall because they worked with a hoodie I was wearing. I was like, okay, this work.
There you go.
Got into that. I'm always they're kind of, a lot of people don't care about comfort. Like they're comfortable to me. So like it's a comfortable shoe. Able to work with a lot of things. Some people are like, it's like, no, like actually the shoe got to be legit comfortable sometimes for me. So
yeah,
that was my first. I had a pair of Dunk Highs that I still wear. It's the 50 years of hip hop one. Actually, I just like I like the colorway on it. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. And it goes with jeans, goes with, I like the functionality. I like having a shoe that I can wear with multiple outfits and it ain't just constrained to one thing. So
absolutely.
But definitely, yeah, the Dunk Lows. I got to get a couple other pairs. I'm always seeing them. It's occasionally $79.99 on sale. I never get lucky. Marcus, I know, feels the pain. I never get lucky in the drops or whatever. I just wait. That just stopped. I stopped trying. Like, people will send me, this looks like a nice one. I was like, I ain't gonna try it. Like, why am I gonna put that, manifest that positive energy? Like I'm gonna get it, and then just playing the same stupid game every time. So I just wait to see something go on sale, and then I try and hop on it. So, but I'm in the Dunk Lows right now. That's probably my favorite this year.
I think the biggest shoe that was, I think there were two big shoes that were probably easier to get than maybe it would have seemed like. Was Nike brought back the black cement Jordan 3s, and they brought back the Columbia 11s, like the all white 11s with like with the blue tint on the sole. Apparently they made like a pretty big stock of both of those, and those are pretty easy to get. I didn't want the the 11s. I'm not really a all white shoe kind of guy for right now. But I think for me this year was actually the pair of shoes that I wore in Boston, the yellow pair of shoes, the Thunder Maxes. I'm pretty. My favorite type of shoe for like actual wear is mostly like 90s runners for the most part. So kind of like if it's like 90s or like even like very early 2000s, those are from a functionality standpoint, those work for me the best. And so there are a lot of like not even like hype beast kind of brands this year, but like the Nike Air Max Tuned Air, which was like a release you could have got at like Finish Line, basically. I wore those like a lot. The Thunder Max that I wore in Boston, I wore those a pretty good deal too. I wore those in Boston when I did a trip to California. I wore those in California too. So just like slip them on, just kind of go. Like those are definitely my go-to shoes this year. I would say for this year, mesh running shoes have been like a really big trend. And so you'll see folks that like who never even wore like Asics before or Saucony. We used to pronounce it Saucony, which is wrong, but Saucony. New Balance was always an East Coast brand, but the last like I think 4 years basically, it kind of exploded to like everywhere there's New Balance now. When before you used to only see it on the East Coast. You used to only see it in like DC, Baltimore, Philly, Jersey, and New York. But now you can go to like California and people are like wearing New Balance. And so that's a pretty good brand. They're still a really good brand. They have a lot of great collaborations. I think for price points for stuff, it's always better to find like a quality shoe with not trying to like break the bank when you don't have to. And so I think if you're in the market for those kind of shoes, I would definitely fuck with Saucony. I would fuck with Asics. You can get a really good shoe that's quality. It's mesh, so it is lightweight. I know for the winter, you definitely need a little bit more like support, like leather traditional shoes. But when the weather kind of breaks and you're out and about, you can get like a mesh shoe. You can get in like any kind of flavor or colorways, and you don't need to pay like multiple hundreds of dollars for. You can get like general release Asics or Sauconys for like less than $140. You can catch them on sale. They had a pretty good Black Friday sale for some of their stuff too. And so I think for shoes and for sneakers, like Nike's gonna give you they're gonna give you the hits. And then you'll get like the hype beast kind of type shoes too. But for the very most part, like George kind of said, you can find like decent dunks for on sale, and those are
79-ish, give or take.
Yeah, you can slip them on and go. And they're pretty, I mean, the best thing about dunks is they're still like an all leather shoe, so they're really durable. And the more that you wear leather shoes, the better they look. And so remember when we had the kind of the sock runner trend where like the Ultra Boost was just like fully a knit upper? Like those shoes kind of went away from the ether because we just got oversaturated with them. But also the more you wore them, the worse they look. But for like an all leather shoe, like a Dunk or like a Air Jordan 1, like distressed leather looks good. And so that's why I definitely recommend like a good pair of Dunks in your rotation. 90s runners they still look great 30 years later. I think for like even like basketball shoes, like the new basketball shoes are pretty interesting. Anthony Edwards, he had a great first release for Adidas, the AE1. It was like really good shoe.
I was looking at that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so I got a pair of the Lows. And so they're really good. They're a really good sneaker as far as like new basketball technology that you can wear like off court, that you can wear like casually. That's still a pretty good shoe. So I think this year for sneakers was pretty solid. I did buying, obviously, and so I did get the black cement threes. I haven't worn them yet.
Nice. Is
But
this your first pair?
Ever? No, I had when they came out in 2012. I was able to get them, but I wasn't able to get them when they came back out in 2018. I think that was a year. And actually, the funny thing is, my 2012 pair just broke down, where like the sole was getting the upper was getting unglued from the sole.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's a shoe that lasted just over a decade. So it was a dozen years actually, and then it failed, and it happened to like re-release, and so that was a good like re-up for a shoe. So I think this year was like pretty solid, and like I said, you don't need to break the bank. You don't need like the Travis Scott. People love the Travis Scott Nikes, and they're okay, but you don't need to like pay like thousands of dollars for resale, or even like you don't even need to pay like $3 or $4 for resale. You can buy a really good shoe on sale for a lot of different brands, and so I think for next year, if you branch out beyond kind of the Nike umbrella, you can find like some real quality sneakers out there.
There are a ton out there that I look just everyday life. I'm always looking at people's feet. I look at people's feet in church when they're going through and getting their getting communion. Man, I just be looking at people's feet because it's easier than staring at their face because that's what I'm trying to do. But there are a lot of great brands out there. But I still, other than this one shoe I got this year, am still loyal to Nike. I got the Questions, the Reebok Questions. I got them on sale from Champs for $50, and they were the white Questions with like the yellow and purple Kobe. Those not the purple ones, but with mostly yellow. I've worn those like 3 or 4 times because Lord knows I am not trying to mess up another pair of Questions like I did in college, and I got a great price on them. So shout out to those. I honestly was really considering the new Sabrina shoes that's out. I was looking at those in Champs, and I really like those. Honestly, I think
seen a lot of traction on social.
Yeah, I think they're clean, and like Champs wanted like 129 for them, and I didn't pull the trigger on that. I actually pulled a trigger on my shoe of the year. I'm going to talk about here in a second, but I really like those, and then. So I'm probably going to get those in the future. I tried a couple of the Ja Morants. I sent a couple of pictures to the group chat. Great ankle support, but damn, it felt like it was cutting to my ankle. So I was like, I don't think this is for me. Like I ain't playing ball, so I don't need that killer grip around the ankle. Nike
has a little bit of a Nike and Jordan Brand have a little bit of a challenge of we're gonna make you probably the best basketball sneaker ever made from a technical aspect, but I just need something I can casually walk around in and look fly.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. And so 90s and 2000s and even 2010s Nike and Jordan, they were really doing that. Now it's just like they've kind of gone away from the aesthetic aspect of it and like really leaned to the technical piece of it.
Mm-hmm. No, I felt that because I tried on some Jordan mids and some Jordan 1 lows in a couple colorways that I thought I liked because they didn't have the size I wanted to Finish Line, and I was like, nope, like I can't do it. I can't. So I definitely know that I am a high top when it comes to Jordan 1s. I haven't pulled the trigger on that, but I got mine on a couple pieces out there. The funny thing is I got to do an honorable mention to Hey Dudes, man, and I'll tell you why. Because at work, they I guess people were wearing Hey Dudes, and we were always supposed to be like women have to wear like a heel or a sensible flat or just something that's business casual kind of thing. I guess people were wearing Hey Dudes, and they finally were like, all right, we're going to let y'all wear Hey Dudes. And so I was like, I guess let me go see what these things are about, because I was just like, if I don't got to wear these stupid dress shoes all the time, I'm not going to wear these dress shoes. So I got me a pair of like darkish gray Hey Dudes for like $52 from Shoe Department. And one, they're light as hell, which I've never had at work since I started my job at where I work currently. And they're not that, they actually are comfortable. Like they're not like, I think that I'm getting the experience that a lot of people say they get from Crocs. People are like, Crocs are so comfortable, and I'll put on a Croc. I'm like, no, this isn't comfortable for me. But a lot of people swear by Crocs for how comfy they are, and honestly, Hey Dudes, they're not that bad. So I am a pair of Hey Dudes at work right now.
A good brand that people, I haven't pulled the trigger on these yet, but a good brand that people are saying that is really comfortable is On.
Yeah.
On was another On was another kind of label, another brand that was like it was not like marketed to like teenagers and like young adults. It was really like a brand of, we're gonna make you a pretty sturdy, comfortable, quality shoe. And then I think it was, I don't know if it was like advertised to like just older people or whatever, but like at one point it was kind of like the original New Balance, where like for the history of New Balance, it was a sneaker that was like, if you were in the running, you wore New Balance, but it wasn't like a super popular brand. Then a lot of the dope boys in DC started wearing New Balances, and then it became like a street shoe, and then it became like an East Coast shoe. On is similar to like, we're just like older people. We don't wear like basketball shoes. We don't wear like gaudy shoes. We just want a comfortable sneaker. And then so On was kind of a brand you would kind of see like just around in the ether. But then I think like for people who are into sneakers, like sort of giving it a shot, and now On is like a commercial brand that you can walk into any like Foot Locker or like any like Champs, and you'll probably see a pair there just on the wall.
Yeah.
So I think that may be a brand I maybe test out next year. A brand that's, I would say, I know George talked about kind of the exercise perspective. I know for me, Hoka is a pretty good brand as far as, I'm a bigger guy, so I need different support. I need like real stability, and I need like comfort. Where for some folks, they don't need like a thicker heel. Maybe they want to be a little bit lower to the ground. Hoka is pretty good about, if you go to their website, they can give you like different options depending on specifically what you want to work out in.
Oh, wow.
Or not even just work out, like what do you want to even run in? And you can kind of customize to figure out like what is the best shoe for what your need is. And so Hoka is a pretty good brand for that. Quiet as it's kept, I think Nike is a global brand, obviously, but not the best when it comes to like running and like exercise stuff.
Not anymore.
It'll get you there, but it's like there are better brands that you can like, if you do a little bit of researching for, there are better brands out there that can kind of give you what you want for not nearly as like the hype piece cost of what a Nike product is. And so I think I need to even re-up on my Hokas. I think I've had them for about almost 2 years, and so I think it's time to trade up. But Hoka is another good brand I wanted to shout out also.
Yeah, not sure if it's a good apples to apples comparison, but like On these days kind of reminds me of K-Swiss back in the 90s a little bit. Like it's becoming the European shoe style to have. Big in the, as Marcus was saying, like big in kind of like the very niche sports realm, but now they've graduated up to it. Like Roger Federer is an On guy, one of their athletes that wears the shoe, and they pay to sponsor and all that type of stuff, and it's gained a lot of traction. So you'll see them now, like you're seeing them pop in regular stores, where before it might have been just online only, or I don't even know where they would have sold them, but that's popping now. And in respect to Hey Dudes, shout out to Brett Clevenger. He's a big Hey Dude guy. He
what
loves
up, Brett?
them. I'll throw out, I'm in the summertime I turned into like a wannabe surfer motif kind of person, and so I'll shout out Reef. Reef is my favorite brand for that. I've got like the Reef version of Hey Dudes. It's that slip-on, nice sole. I forget what the shoe is called, but I've got some Reef flip-flops. They got, if you're one of these people, they got like a bottle opener built into the bottom of the flip-flop, if you like that.
Hilarious.
So you need to get your drink on anywhere with that. I've owned like 3-4 different pairs of like Reef shoes, and I beat the crap out of them, and you can wash them and stuff, and they're super comfortable. So that's my summer footwear choice. Beach or coastal or whatever is vacation is Reef. So shout out to Reef. I'll throw them in there.
I
All
just
right.
went on the Hoka website and used their shoe finder, and it was hella easy to do. So
Yeah.
um, now I have a place to start because I'm going to be in the market for some gym shoes here in 2025.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so I don't know if I'll be dropping it right away, but it's good to know that it's that easy to find something that fits the profile I'm looking for. That's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
Um, my shoe of the year is the Air Max 90s though, man. I wore them to Boston, my purple and grays. Shout out to Nicole. She walked me all over Boston all day. One of those days it was like from 10 in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night. And then we took the subway back. And my feet didn't hurt me once. And normally thought at some point like they're going to start hurting, but no, they got me through that whole trip. So I went ahead and invested in my second pair um, that I just bought a few weeks ago. So I now own two pairs of Air Max 90s. And if I have my way, some of my Christmas money's probably going to a third pair of Air Max 90s because I just love the way they feel, man. And I found a colorway, and then that's it. And so they're comfy. They're Nikes. They fit all my criterias that I need in the at 41. So I'm cool with it, man. Air
There
Max
it
is my
is.
favorite shoe this year.
I'm like that with Vapor Max. I think some people don't like the way they look, but like those things are hella comfortable to me. Like that's a
Yeah,
good
you
walking
always
around all
hell yeah.
day shoe. So people always know it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, what the heck is it? And I still when I find a pair of Vapor Max, I usually try and close in on it because I don't think they're making them as much anymore. They've changed the bubbles and all this, but that's a hella comfortable shoe too. But yeah, I like your purple and gray ones. Those ones are like, ooh, like okay, like I can make them work with a lot of different things.
The girl at Dick's, I might have said this in the group chat. Like she opened them up, and I could like she was like a new cashier or whatever, and so she just kind of blurted it out. She opened these up. She goes, "Oh, these are cute," and I was like, "All right," because I was a little unsure because I was like, "I think I like them," but it was all by myself.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm good." But then when she opened it up, it's like, "These are cute." I'm like, "Yep, I got the right pair then."
There we go.
For
I
sure.
didn't expect it to be this cute. I'm like, "All right, bet." Thank you for your feedback. Well, perfect segue to go from talking shoes to talk about our favorite sports moment of 2024. Mark Robb, would you like to set us off in this category, sir?
I graduated high school in 2004.
Don't tell on yourself.
No, I'm fine with that. I got gray in my beard. You can't hide it anymore.
Sexy gray.
So, I graduated high school, young pup, fall of 2004, going to WVU. During that time period, there was this young person in the NBA who, not that much older than me, but, around the same age. And so he was starting his illustrious career. The summer that I graduated high school, he was winning Rookie of the Year in the NBA. And, it was a pretty interesting time in America. That was 2004.
Okay, 2004.
Fast forward 20 years. This actually around the same time, summer of 2024, this same individual who I have long since graduated college, this gentleman is still in the same professional sports league, but now this time around, he's playing something called in some little competition called the Olympics.
Okay.
And he is proving that he is probably the greatest basketball player of all time. Now, he was great. And the individual I'm talking about, if you aren't aware, is LeBron James. In the Olympic finals, where he fully was the best player, the charge, he was the tip of the spear. And the reason that the United States was in the gold medal game, for sure. Now, you would think, veteran savvy, he's leading America in these great basketball games. He's going to do the same thing in the finals. Well, he kind of was that, but something incredible happened. There's this light-skinned guy who, for some reason, terrible the whole Olympics, not very good, but he's the greatest shooter of all time. And so in the moments where, you know, you want the most important shooter of all time to be the most important shooter of all time, he happened to become that in the moment where it called for the absolute most. So my favorite sports moment of 2024 was the U.S. gold medal game versus France, where I finally got to see and root for Stephen Curry for the first time. And I fully understand why Warriors fans loved this guy at his apex for his career. And that whole, like, he just started out microwave hot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, because he didn't have really good he didn't have a good Olympics like at all. He was bad. He was legitimately bad. And it was like he's finally unlocked. And Stephen Curry, like when he unlocks so heavy. And the rest of the team wasn't doing that well. LeBron, if it wasn't for like Stephen and LeBron, we would have lost that game for sure.
Yes.
Devin Booker contributed. Devin Booker underrated. It's funny. Devin Booker was kind of underrated, and then when they won, everyone kept talking about how underrated he was. So he's now properly rated for like how great of an Olympics he had.
Right.
He kept them in the game for sure. And watching like not only watching Steph bomb in the way he did, just the fact that like he's doing it for my team and I get to not like be sad that he's doing this action, but like wanting him to like just pull up and just completely like nuke France, like that was like incredible. It was so much fun. Like and actually a big shout out to Peacock. The Olympics coverage was great. It was
really
legit great. Like
best use of a streaming app for Olympics yet.
Oh yeah, like it's like head and shoulders above anything we've had like ever.
Mm-hmm.
I would even say like just even like when it was just like cable broadcasts, whatever. I think I watched more Olympics in this coverage than like ever before. Like I watched like so much Olympics this year.
I turned it on all the time. Yeah.
And so watching, I think I did watch every game. I may have missed like one early game, but I watched like all the games or whatever. And just to see us like in the final, like with LeBron, Steph, and KD, and like just seeing like how they all performed on that stage, and like, and France was like had a lot of fight. Like they, if like Steph was like 10% less hot, like if LeBron didn't kind of step up in the moments he needed to, like if we didn't get like certain stops, like we definitely would have lost that game. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna lie, in 4 years, I don't think we're getting the gold. But and so it's like, and so these are our, like, Steph said he's one and done. This is definitely LeBron's last Olympics. Mm-hmm. We don't know about Durant, but I mean, in 4 years, Durant's not going to be the player he is today. And so the future for U.S. basketball is so uncertain. All that was really converging in that final moment. And so when they pulled it off and they won the gold, and we saw how like devastated Wemby was, and it being in France too, like, so, and winning it in France in the way they did, like that was like a truly spectacular moment. So yeah, that was a really great moment of sport that I love this year.
Yeah, and I missed it because I was working.
Oh damn! I would have had that shit on my phone, just like somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I was literally living through the group chat at that moment because y'all were posting about it, and then I go look at stuff, and I was coming back, and yeah, I went back and rewatched it afterwards. But I was lost in the sauce on that one. Absolutely great moment. George, LeBron retiring after the season.
I never put much. He This will sound goofy. Like it's kind of it's intersection with the Brawny construct, right? Like does he get more moments of that and be like, all right, I did it, scratch that, got that legendary play with your son thing again, as he did earlier in the season. If they bring him up from the G League or whatever, maybe that depends on the Lakers positioning going down the stretch after the All-Star break toward the playoffs and everything like that. He's like Braun's got the different motivations that like Tom Brady was done. And then Adam Schefter, whatever, scooped, oh, he's done. And then dumb Tom Brady pissed off and ruined his marriage and came back for a weird ass final year in Tampa that like nobody's ever going to remember.
Hey, man, they won a division, though. They won a division.
Then Philadelphia went down there and wiped their ass, right? Or whoever beat them. So, it's just, so that was weird. But like Braun he's probably arguably the best conditioned athlete ever to be able to do it at his, and we don't have any of the weird, Tom Brady in the process and that Guerrero guy and all that. Like none of that shadows LeBron and what he's been able to do with his body and maintain his body over a 20-year career. So he obviously has all the extra pursuits. Like he's got everything in the right, order and everything for when he retires. We hear, he wants to be get into team ownership, which would be awesome, especially in basketball, let alone other, sports spaces. But no, I'll give him, man, be 21. He's got the points record. Like there's nothing left for him to do aside from chase championships, but he's got all so I don't feel it this year. It's basically like, do we see him as a guy that wants to, just play and we don't, he retired and it's like out of nowhere, or does he want to be one of these guys that kind of does the Tim Duncan farewell thing where they're giving you stuff all across the, is there a balance somewhere? I feel like he would communicate. He's a good communicator. I feel like he would I don't think he would surprise people on it, I guess is kind of my thought.
Yeah, I don't think he would either. Like, I mean, because if you think about at least the last two of last three of our legends who wanted to retire that got a chance to, Kobe did the retirement tour, Dirk did it, and Duncan. And so if, depending on your thoughts of like the history of basketball, LeBron is just as important to the sport or even more so. And then depending on where your personal rankings are, LeBron is probably a better player than all those players. And so when we think about, the word deserve is like a weird word, but if anyone deserves a retirement tour, like it's LeBron James. Like he's going to be, whenever he retires, he's going to be the Iron Man of basketball.
Yeah.
And so it would actually be a shame if he did not announce it. Like even if he doesn't do it like in the summer, this is my last full season. Even if he was like 4 or 5 months before the season ended, if it was like All-Star break and like he was like, after the All-Star game happens, he like gets a moment to where he just like announces like a half court, thank you for my last All-Star game, and I think I'm going to end this season on this lovely note, and then like that's kind of like the half of like the last season he has. Like, that would be great, but I think it would be a disservice to the game for him just to be like, tweet, I'm out. That would be really sad if he just did that.
The Decision, Part 6.
Yeah, and actually, that'd be, from a very ironical lens, it would be pretty amazing if he had the decision and then just
has a history of decisions.
Yeah, and then he did
history of public decisions.
Yeah, and he did the IG.
The Sports Illustrated article coming back to Cleveland, like
coming home, baby.
So I think that even for the announcement of, I think that would be a pretty great announcement of he had a decision that was regrettable. He had the great article about him making the decision to go back to Cleveland. I think that another thoughtful article of why it's time to like hang it up and be reflective of the moment. I think that Yeah, I think that would be like
Yeah.
the way to announce the ending. It would be a disservice. It would just like a screenshot of Apple Notes saying I'm retiring. That would not be befitting of like one of the most important American athletes of all time.
Yeah. I just had to throw that in there after we got talking about the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
So no, I don't think he's retiring either. I think he'll definitely announce it beforehand so he can go through the proper procedures in his mind. George, favorite sports moment of 2024.
Yeah, with no disrespect to the Chiefs who won 2 Super Bowls. Shout out Dawn Staley to and undefeated South Carolina women and Caitlin Clark and all that we had. That it doesn't mean that it was a bad sports year, but I believe that Marcus's answer is actually the only correct answer. Like that is like normally we've got competing shit. And kind of universally, as I got into December and you start seeing listicles and all that pop up about what, and it's this, it's this, like that was so damn iconic.
Yes.
And it's in France, in the home country against the home team. And most of America saw it on
his
just, and like the makeup of that team. Cause like all of these, and we got to put it in. It's for us, America. It's the Olympics led by the American men's basketball team, led by, and then I'll stack under there. Katie Ledecky doing her thing, Simone Biles doing her thing, Noah Lyles doing his thing. Like it was American dominance at the Olympics. That whole thing. I'm a big Olympics guy. I'm a big I love France. So like all of that, I watched. Like you guys watched a lot of it, pretty much every minute of it. And we put it in the context of two things that the last Olympics happened 3 years before, but it was the 2020 Olympics and it happened in 2021 and nobody was there to really see it. And it was in Tokyo and sad for Tokyo. And they didn't really get a good Olympics because of COVID and everything like that. And then put it in the context of that there's always kind of this undercurrent of weird catty bullshit that's seemingly gone on with some of the men's basketball teams in the last decade or whatever. And it just like they all warring factions or whatever. And like all we got mad about was Steve Kerr not playing
Jason Tatum.
Which I was not mad about that at all. He sucked. And he was not good.
And Tatum should have taken it as a break because he just come off of winning a title. So it's like that's the thing we got to be mad about is okay, like, get out of here.
And then they got like what, 7 losses, 6 losses?
Yeah. And it's like we just had this like harmony within the team and everybody actually wanting to win and KD with the flag. And like, I like seeing Kevin. It feels like Kevin feels like he doesn't get many happy moments anymore. And the dude just generally actually loves playing for his country.
But also with like LaMelo on this Carmelo on the sideline, and then Dwayne Wade on the commentary, and what their history is like. It was just a fun moment.
Feels like it made whole a lot of things, like just kind of like tied up some loose ends that we needed to have tied up.
I think it really did. A lot of plot lines just from out the last 10 years between so many players that aren't playing and then players who wanted to go one last time at the Olympics. I definitely feel like it was a major moment for basketball history. Like there's certain marks in time in sports history, basketball history that like this thing happened. Like 2024 men beat France in the final. That's something that's always going to be cultivated in NBA history for sure. So there's always
And if it's like when it was 3 years ago, I think they played Serbia in the final and it's like, oh, they played Serbia and they won by 15 or 20 or whatever. Like, no, it was in France against France and it had to come down to the final minute and the French gave their hearts out and Wemby and Rudy Gobert, who everybody hates, like just the whole thing.
Not as much as Draymond Green hates Rudy Gobert.
Not as much as Draymond Green hates him.
Oh my God.
And, that's no disrespect to the other, there's moments and some cool things that happen in sport in 2024, but man, that rose above everything in the way how it happened, how it was perceived by the public consciousness and everything. Like that's the moment. Like rarely do you have, I think, one people can kind of universally agree on, and Stephen Curry and the U.S. men and the whole U.S. Olympic team at the Olympics with LeBron and Coco Gauff on the boat holding the damn flag.
I know.
Like George Washington crossing the Delaware shit. Like that was like it started with that, and we
Twitter
just rode away with glory.
Week. Twitter was definitely fun during the Olympics. I can't lie.
That was that was like it was a moment. As Marcus talked about, we're trying to find a year of normalcy. Like that was like the most kind of quasi-normal moment we had, and it was right at the peak of our summer, and then everything else was downhill after that. So that,
But also, you got to think the finals, the NBA finals, they weren't really that good. It had interesting moments, but the Celtics just steamrolled everyone.
Yeah,
and so it was
Celtics. Like that's just what it was.
Yeah, and so it was like a whatever kind of finals, and then the men's team kind of going. And also, we talked about the men's team. The women's final also was great as well. And it happened to be against France too, and so it was like true USA basketball this year. It was us being kind of the favorites, but then still getting tested, because even on the women's, like that was still a hell of a final match too.
Close ones. Yeah.
And so it was like we came for the NBA finals was a little bit of just an okay finals. It's not. I don't think it'll be a finals that anyone like other than like Celtics fans are really going to like care about in a couple of years.
Schroeder definitely didn't care.
Yeah, and I don't blame him either. And so it was like yeah, it's okay. But then when it came to it, when it came down to like the gold medal game, it was just like so compelling and like so fun and so stressful. It's like if we would have like steamrolled France, if it would have been like a 30-point blowout, like there wouldn't be many memories to hold on to.
Yeah.
But because it was super competitive to where they like France really had just dogs, and it was like, can this team in their home country like beat Kevin Durant's LeBron James and Stephen Curry? Like, can they actually do it with Wemby of all people, who's going to be like, from all accounts, going to be like our next greatest superstar?
Absolutely.
Is this going to be the moment he like puts it together? And they almost did. And so it was from the Olympic standpoint, like I think a lot of the events I watched were like super competitive. And so that was the one where it was like, yes, this is what the Olympics should be about. Like the finals the finals should have stories for both countries, interesting individuals from both countries, and then let's just give a great match. Because even if we would have lost, it would have been an interesting game to see, like, this is where the moment that Wemby ascends to like the next level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, man, it was an awesome match.
I wholeheartedly agree. That was going to be my pick, but I had a feeling it wouldn't be there. So my pick, I mean, not that we all couldn't agree, but I want to send a shout out. You mentioned women's basketball in the Olympics. I want to send a shout out to not only the 2024 WNBA playoffs, but their entire season, because in the last 18 months, I've become a huge women's basketball fan. I've been watching a ton of it, and then the break happened, of course, for the Olympics. And when they came back, it was just guns a-blazing. And I think I have a favorite WNBA team after all these years, because I did not realize that the New York Liberty had never won a WNBA finals. And then to see them almost blow it against Minnesota, actually go down against Minnesota after beating the Aces, and then to win it the way they did, those final couple games, man, I was very impressed with the New York Liberty. I follow a bunch of their players on Insta, and I actually found out that I just used to follow the WNBA account. Following the players is so much better, because literally Breonna Stewart's posting photos like 2 hours after the game, just with a caption that says W. Photos of all her teammates scoring throughout the game and stuff, and clips and stuff. And like I live for that kind of that up close interaction, so to speak. So I've really become a fan of the league, and I'm a big fan of what they got going on in New York, and the fact that they finally won one. I was like, you know what? I guess I could kind of support the Liberty, even if they never win another one. It was a good, fun finals, man. So And fun playoffs. So shout out to the WNBA, shout out to women's basketball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of noise around Caitlin Clark in a lot of negative ways, but from a positive standpoint of the sport itself, her exposure can at least expose sort of regular viewers to like getting involved with women's basketball, and hopefully like even like women's sports in general, like, you know, the Olympics was great because there's no delineation between I mean there's obviously separate events, but like the Olympics overall, like including the women's sports, were really great. And I happened to actually watch live where our rugby team, it was like the last play where our rugby team, the woman stripped the ball and took it like 98 yards the other way. Like I happened to be watching when it happened live.
Oh dang!
And that was like exciting. And they won the bronze because of that action. And so I happened to watch in the game when it happened. It was like great. And shout out to Oklahoma, who just lost to Navy.
Y'all tried going for 2 because the Navy scared you. You didn't want to get into a 4 overtime battle with the Navy. Let's go.
Not the Sooners losing to Navy.
And they got sacked on the 2-point conversion. That was actually great. But yeah,
hey,
and so
man, there's our sports moment for the year right there.
Exactly. And so yeah, I the Mystics, we won the chip in 2019. Since then, it's been a little bit iffy. This year we didn't have a winning record, but we were like in the playoff hunt until like I think the last week or 2 of the season. So I'm still following the Mystics. I'm still the South Carolina team, like they're like super dominant, so I did get to watch some of their run. And so I think women's sports, I think we're definitely in an upswing of, and I think that we're in a moment of, I know for Clark, you know, with her exposure, it is kind of getting like different eyes on the sport, and it's like a little bit some people in bad faith, but I do think that hopefully it can eventually grow people into good faith and just appreciating women's sports, whether it's professional or collegiate, because, you know, they have a lot of great athletes. So
yeah, and she's not feeding into the bullshit either so far, which I do appreciate, because it'd be so easy for her to do it. And again, go back to that negative stuff we were talking about at the top of the show. But she's like, look, man, I love basketball since I was a kid, love WNBA since I was a kid. Don't try to put me out here as this white savior against these black girls, man, because I ain't with it. So shout out to Caitlin Clark for not dealing with any of that right now. Hopefully it continues to be that way. So fellas, I mean, it says record time's at like 2 hours, and I know we could easily do another hour. But for the sake of all of our lives and the rest of this Friday, I think it would be a nice place to wrap it up with us just going over our at least one goal we have for the next year, and then calling it an episode. So, Mark Rob, what is one goal you have for 2025, sir?
I think I want to start a movie club in San Antonio. There's like through like meetup social apps, you can kind of develop like groups through there, but I kind of just want to develop one on my own because we don't really have like a film community in San Antonio, and I kind of want to be a bit active as far as we have a film community, but we'll do like outings and like maybe even like podcasting and blogging and like developing writing around it. And so Austin is like an hour away. Austin is a vibrant film community. And so how do we kind of get that energy into San Antonio that doesn't really have that? And so one of my goals is to kind of start a club, get some folks involved, and then kind of thinking about even if it's not like making content, if we just have like a film club where we watch films, discuss films, have fun, and then kind of build a community around that. I think that will be at least a great start. And then if something as far as like podcasting or blogging comes out of it, that'd be great. But let's kind of just build a community first and then see where we go from there.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I love that.
Love that.
Thank you.
Once again, the thought father strikes, man.
I try.
That's awesome. George, what you got there, sir?
Oh, I want to write more. So I write for work, obviously, doing sports articles and stuff. Love doing that. But I've got like my phone, like when the outline of an idea, essentially starting a Substack, basically. I'd like to actually put some things down. I got one. Part of it is going, of course, going to be sports related. Like I've got somebody gave me this idea years ago. It's like you go a lot of places, like you should write kind of like travel-y type of blogs about places you go. I'm like, it's a good idea. So I got one. I was in Miami this year for went to one of the days of the Miami Grand Prix down there, which was really awesome. First time seeing F1 in person. So I've actually written that one, but it's just like, all right, I got to get some. So I want to get some things in like in the hopper, writing wise, and actually put them on a Substack. And then like the hard part is, as Kellen and both of you know, like committing to actually getting things out and not just having these dead periods. Is kind of the consistency is like such a big part of it. Like Asti and I do it on the podcast. That's easy, but actually writing and sitting down when you don't want to write, when you've been staring at a computer for work all day, is kind of the hard concept of it. So it's like actually kind of committing to launching it and then committing to writing and then actually doing the writing and actually being consistent with it is something I'd like to get going in the next year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like writing is definitely a challenge, definitely tough. And just the rhythms of doing it and then doing it consistently, like that's a skill. Like that is a true skill that you have to build. And so I definitely hope you do it. I hope you give it a shot. And even if it was something as small as, let me just like get a couple of paragraphs down, and then maybe that can kind of be like, do a couple of paragraphs here and there, but then have something a bit more long form, and saving those, maybe not every week, but saving maybe something long form like once a month, and just having smaller things to kind of supplement that. It always gotta, I think the biggest thing to always remember is you just gotta start from somewhere. If you can start from somewhere, build some habits up, then get it out there, that's the most you can do. And so I hope you do it. I truly hope you do it, man. It should be fun.
Yeah, any help we can give you to get you pushed in the right direction, just say the word, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We both have some experience with that kind of stuff, so just let us know.
Well, do.
Kellen, what about you? What is your goal what is a goal you have for next year?
One of my goals is I need to start building some healthy exercise habits. I got a gym membership. Now we have like a family one that has a reasonable price. And then I just need to start eating better and like really just take that plunge. It can't be about a diet. It can't be just low carb. It just has to be about, just eating better and being healthier and stop eating all this crap that I've been eating like for the past year. It wasn't a great year as far as on the eating front for me. So definitely want to change that around. That's a major goal that I have, is to focus on those two things, just eating better and getting some kind of exercise in, and then just seeing where I go from there and try to be consistent with that.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. I mean, yeah, it's like doing those, especially, just always kind of setting aside time for that. It's like truly difficult, especially, if you're working full time, get a family to support, and it's like, you either got to do it like super early in the morning or super late at night. And so the balance of that can be really taxing. So yeah, man, just gotta start from somewhere. And so you got the gym membership. Yeah. That's step one. Just got to figure out, ways to kind of plot the day around it. And so, yeah, man. And I especially since like Thanksgiving, like, the end of the year for like workouts and like staying like on top of like what you want to stay on top of, that's a challenge to say the very least.
So difficult.
But yeah, and so I'll pretty much be back on that ship too. I know the gyms in January are going to be trash, but something. But if you can hold out, if you can make it through January, the population starts to die out. Unfortunately, well, it's like fortunately, but unfortunately, they start to die out.
Yeah, because everybody tries to go back to the gym in January.
Yeah, and so the funny thing living in Texas is the moment football season starts, you go to the gym during football games. There's a fucking desert in there, like
nice.
So yeah, January is not so much, but But yeah, if you can hold out, just make a habit of yourself for it. Even if it's just like a handful of times a week, handful of hours a week, it's got to start from somewhere, build habits from somewhere, and go from there.
Absolutely. That's what my plan is, man. At least one of my plans for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a beautiful episode, man.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Handsome Bane for getting us back on the right shit. Because we were going, man. We were just like
we needed it. We needed it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
it had to be talked about, but I mean, it is what it is. That's what numbers on the board is for, to kind of take stock of what the year's been and look forward to what we have to come, and just share the camaraderie that we got and the friendship that we got, man. So
Absolutely, yes.
So I just applaud both of you for all the things that you've accomplished this year, and I just love that I get to be a part of your lives in the way that I am, and hope that we can continue this for many years to come, fellas. I appreciate both of you.
There it is.
Same, man.
And that's the topic. I was just gonna give you all your flowers. There it is. So yeah, this has been Hyphen Nation. That has been Mark Robb. That has been the Howitzer and IMB Hyphen. And we hope you enjoyed the episode. And we're going to get together and do this real soon, sometime. Again.
So you're saying that we should do this again sometime? Is that what you're saying?
I said we should get together sometime soon again.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you.
I can't infringe. Cat will come after me.
No copyright infringement.
Exactly. No copyright. Oh man.